Alright gang, how we doing? Welcome back to the channel, and my gosh, we have just received so much brand new Pokemon content through the Nintendo Direct that happened today. A brand new Animal Crossing style spin-off where you play as Ditto and befriend Pokemon. Tons of exciting new clips and cinematics of Legends Z-A. 5 new Megas, which include all the Kalos starters, plus Mega Raichu X and Y forms, which feature in the trailer for the now confirmed DLC of Pokemon Legends Z-A, which appears to be centered around Hooper as well. My gosh, as I said guys, we have a lot to unpack, so let's do just that. So we're going to talk about this. I'll let you guys see the visuals as we discuss, but this is bizarre because for the first time, I think ever, at least certainly for Pokemon, I can't remember any other examples of games that do this as well. We've had a DLC that has been announced before the actual game itself has released. We are still over a month away from Legends Z-A, the base game, releasing. And now we have this trailer featuring Mega Raichu X and Y. By the way, let me know which is your favorite. I love them both a lot. We have this trailer for the DLC, and as you can see here, Pokemon Legends Z-A Mega Dimension. This looks incredible, and I just wanted to talk about a few things. I'm gonna continue to think about this because I think there's a lot of lore implications here, which I'll have to sit with and think through, but there's just a few initial thoughts that I had. Firstly, you will notice that all of the Mega Evolutions in the X and Y engine, also the Mega Evolution symbol itself, is the colors of Hooper, and the Pokemon radiate the color of Hooper. It's kind of like this pink and yellow hue that, especially in the obviously more modern game engine on the Nintendo Switch 2, you can see it in the Mega forms, that this kind of yellow and pink kind of coloration is pulsating through, almost subtly, through a lot of the Mega forms. And this is something, of all of the Mega theories that I had in my head and that people talk about and what Mega Evolution means, where it comes from, the ultimate weapon, all of this stuff, Hooper was something that I don't think really got discussed that much. Now, what we do know about Hooper is that it was an underutilized mythical of Gen 6. So I think they had this in mind back in 2011, 2012, when they were developing X and Y. They had a kind of role for this Pokemon, for Hooper. And what we did get was its Unbound form in I think some sort of special event. It was given to people through Wi-Fi or whatever back in the X and Y days. Since then, it's not really been used. It was in a movie. The idea is that it has this access to these portals through the hoops that it has. It kind of tosses these hoops and creates these hoops that you can change location. They're like portals, essentially. So in the movie, you see Hooper causing a lot of different legendary Pokemon to appear and move through different locations. And then in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, in the post-game, you had these hoops, which were implied to be from Hooper, I believe, where you would go and meet the different legendary Pokemon when you fly on Latios and find the different hidden islands. You would then be met with a portal, which looked like a portal that was created by Hooper, where you would then fight and summon legendary Pokemon. It looked exactly like that. So, this is what I wanted to say about Hooper. Hooper has another form, as we talked about. That form is its Unbound form. Now, just the very word Unbound, and actually let's pull up a picture of Hooper Unbound as well. So this is Hooper Unbound, and it gets additional arms. They kind of float. It looks like a kind of demon sort of Pokemon, and it still has the ability to toss all these different hoops and move things around and essentially take you to dimensions. It kind of reminds me of the Distortion World and also the Wormhole to Ultra Space. I think those are the only other times we've seen kind of like portals to other worlds, other dimensions being open. So in Gen 4, I think you have to get the red chain by using the power of the Lake Trio. That is one thing that is needed to summon Palkia and Dialga from the portals from wherever their realm is. A similar thing applies to Giratina in Platinum, and then in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, you need, I think, Solgaleo or Lunala to open the portal to Ultra Space. These are the examples of when we've seen portals opened. Hooper, I think, is a Pokemon that is specifically designed to kind of epitomize that ability, and it's obviously got this scary look about it. It looks very otherworldly. It's an awesome Pokemon, by the way. It's quite scary, demon looking. Looks like a Zelda villain almost, or a Zelda enemy, I should say, but it looks like a very cool Pokemon in this form. Hooper is apparently the guy who, it would seem, takes you to this mega dimension, and where is this located? I mean, this quite literally looks like Ultra Space here. So you see this, all of these mega stones and this mega energy floating through this Ultra Space looking vortex, and it lands on the two Raichu ones, and that's when we see the Raichu forms. But this has I have so many questions and so many thought experiments to do here. I also want to mention, just from a more economic point of view, that I think there will be some people that are upset that this has been announced before the game has been released, due to money and the perception of like DLC taking money from fans. I'm not, look, if that's your opinion, that's absolutely fine. I understand it. It doesn't bother me in the slightest, because we just live in a world. The last 3 Pokemon games, or 2 Pokemon games, sorry, have had DLC. And actually, paid DLC is a better situation than Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon being released like a year after Sun and Moon, and it just being the same game but with some extra features. I actually think DLC is a far better situation for the fans financially. And if it has a real unique story, and it takes us, you know, if it's worth paying the $20 or whatever it's going to be for it, then I think you're probably going to get a decent bang for your buck, especially when it's a concept like this. But yes, it is a shame that we live in a world where you have to pay extra money to get extra content, but that is just the way of the world, and I'm actually not against it at all right now, from a kind of economic perspective, and from a perspective that I think they actually are trying to give us proper bang for your buck DLC. I mean, we haven't seen any gameplay, but just looking at the very concept of this, I would imagine that it is probably worth the money. The flip side of that is that Z-A is originally just set in Lumiose anyway, and this kind of backs up our theory that there will be other locations in Z-A. If Lumiose City is truly the location of the main game, and of course Legends Arceus had a much bigger map but it didn't have any DLC, that means that we're going to get a completely different place to go to, potentially just the actual dimension of, what's it called, the Mega Dimension, in the DLC. But I love the colors of this. I think it's so good looking. It almost looks like a TCG set or something, doesn't it? It looks incredible. Love the Raichu designs, by the way. I think I prefer the X to the Y, but I do really enjoy both of them. And I'm just thinking as well, we did a poll the other day where we were talking about where is the likely location of the DLC that was all but confirmed by people like Centro and Ku and all of the kind of leakers and riddlers in the community. They seem to think that a DLC had always been in the plans, and it clearly was, for Pokemon Legends Z-A. Does this mean then that we are actually going to go to other regions, or are we just specifically going to go to like another alternate dimension? Because if you think about something like the Distortion World or Ultra Space, it doesn't necessarily seem like a place where the entire plot of a DLC could take place in. You need some sort of central hub. You need some sort of grounded place that's like part of the real world. Now, do we just remain in Lumiose for that and then travel into these different areas through the Mega Dimension, or do we have to go to a different location that's not in Lumiose to initiate this to happen? So many questions. I'm sure as we get our hands on the game and play through the story, that will become very apparent to us. The other thing is, how then is Hooper specifically related to Mega Evolution? How does this tie in with the ultimate weapon and AZ unleashing this infinity energy? How does this all tie into Mega Evolution lore? Now, I did touch on it earlier, but Hooper's Unbound form implies this unstable energy. We know that the professor of this game, which is Mabel, who is a ex-Team Flare member, and all of her dialogue in X and Y was very much about bringing out this latent energy, you know, this overflow of energy that lies within Pokemon, dormant power almost within these creatures. And it seems very on theme then that a Pokemon like Hooper, which has an Unbound form, and again, Unbound, it conjures this idea of unleashing the true potential, like this is its true, most powerful, powered up, bulked up form, you know? And it's the same theme for the Mega Evolutions, particularly these rogue Mega Evolutions that we're seeing in Z-A trailers and in the build up to this game. It is this idea that they almost can't contain the power that's being unleashed from inside them. So how does the ultimate weapon play into this? I'm sure the Z-A plot and the DLC will tell us more. But is Hooper a more integral part of this than we thought? Or is it just merely the guy that opens the portals for you to access maybe this other mega dimension that was created by the use of the ultimate weapon 3,000 years ago by AZ? It distorted space-time so much that it just shook the fabric of reality and created this new dimension where this power for these megastones and where this power is essentially coming from, right? Maybe this will have something to do with the mega and non-mega timeline as well that's been theorized by dialogue from characters like Zinnia and Auras. Anyway, guys, we're going to move on to this other trailer. I'm going to play this on mute as well, and we'll just have a look at the visuals here. So you get this establishing shot of Pokemon Legends Z-A starters, Chikorita, Totodile, and Tepig. We then get a switch up to the Kalos starters, of course the original Kalosian starters from X and Y, and we see some new clips. You see day turn to night there. You see some battles taking place in the ZA Royale. We get some more confirmed megas like Camerupt and stuff. You saw him in the party there. Then it goes to the ZA Battle Club. We see the shots of the fully evolved starters, and I think this is like that mode, that multiplayer mode where you have to get points by defeating the other people's megas or the other people's team. And then we see the look from Delphox to her trainer. And yes, all 3 of these starter Pokemon have Mega Evolutions. And this is what I was talking about, that radiating color that kind of reminds me of Hooper's color system. It's not just Hooper's coloration, but it is very much reminiscent of that kind of color that Hooper exhibits. Now, let's have a look at these designs themselves. So I guess just because it's here in front of us, let's have a look at Chespin, or what's this guy called? Chestnaught's evolution. So he seems to get this red royal kind of additional fur or something, this additional armor plate behind it, so it looks like it's wearing almost like a king's robe. It also gets a spear type item, or a pike, that it holds, and it gets some extra features to its sort of body and face as well. This is amazing. I think this looks really, really cool. We have a slightly darker color of Delphox in some places, a little bit of change to her face, and she is now literally a witch. She is riding a broomstick, Harry Potter Quidditch style, and she's using other fiery branches and wands and whatever they are they're floating alongside her that she'll use in battle. I think this looks awesome. And then Greninja, God knows what this is. It's like a giant, what's the thing called that he does? Shuriken. It's like a giant shuriken made of water that it kind of like hangs upside down from, like some sort of gravity defying. I don't know how this happens. Maybe it's like Greninja's feet stick to it because it's a frog. I'm not entirely sure. But this is very cool as well. I do like it, but it's a really interesting design they've gone for. I actually think all 3 of them really improve the Kalos starters, and I'm very much here for it. So guys, we're going to talk about this in far more detail. Those are kind of my initial thoughts having seen all of this. We see, by the way, some more rogue battles here. Dragonite, Banette, Camerupt, and I mean that just about tells us that probably all of the existing megas that have ever been revealed are going to be in this game. I would be surprised, and these are the shots, just last thing to talk about, these are the shots that seem like it's right at the end. Something happens in Lumiose. This looks amazing, by the way, really, really cool. This energy, this kind of like dust, this pink dust is emanating from the Prism Tower, or certainly swirling around it. Again, a lot of pink coloration, and then you see Zygarde summoning this now like green energy, which the way that this is presented to us, it's almost like that energy is kind of combating whatever is going on up there. So that is looking like some end game stuff, some real climax of the story stuff. Cannot wait to see what that means. Are these actual cells, or is this like additional energy? Is this it mega evolving? I have no idea. Guys, they are my initial thoughts on these 2. We'll cover some other topics on this as well. Let me know what you think about the DLC, any lore implications you think it might have, any particular megas that have been revealed that you're excited to use, Raichu or any of the starters from Kalos, and any story implications that you've picked up from this trailer. Are you excited for ZA? I was a little bit worried that ZA was going to be a bit of a underperforming game, but I think they're really stepping up in this last month or 2 the promo of Legends Z-A, and I think it's going to sell better than I initially thought now. So let me know all of your thoughts down below anyway, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Love you, gang.